Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Grind. Here's your host, JB.
Hey, welcome back to another week of The Breakdown. Man, I will tell you what, this past Sunday in Varsity Gym was absolutely bananas. That place was as crazy as I think I've ever seen it. And I will tell you, surprisingly, there wasn't a big Campbell presence, but the App State crowd filled that place up on Sunday. And it was great to see, great to be a part of that. I will tell you right now, just talking to the guys like I have over the past 3 years and these past couple of years, being able to stream the home duels there from Varsity Gym. It was surreal leaving the gym, leaving Varsity, knowing they took that duel. I know how hard these guys have been working. I know the time that the staff has put in with training, but to see them to finally get that proverbial monkey off of their back and take care of Campbell like they have been in the past. Right, it hasn't only been the past 2 or 3 years that it's really been a struggle for them. But to see them get that off their back and finally walk away from that duel with a win was, I'm glad I was there. If I wouldn't have been able to be there for that one and had to watch that on TV and not to be there in that Varsity Gym and be a part of it, I would have hated that for a long time. Great to see it. A very interesting the way it played out, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But let's get JMB, Coach JohnMark Bentley, in here live from the Bentley household. Coach, did you get a big dinner after the win on Sunday, or did you celebrate a little bit, or right back to the grind the following day?
Yeah, pretty much right back to the grind. Obviously got a dinner when I got home, and my son, there was nothing else he wanted to do but watch the Super Bowl. So I watched the Super Bowl with him, and then pretty shortly thereafter I went to bed. I was exhausted. It had been a long, hard weekend. I'd been on the road recruiting Thursday, Friday, drove back from Macon, Georgia late Friday night, got in early hours of the morning on Saturday, got our guys worked out and ready for Sunday, and then, obviously had a pretty exciting event-packed day on Sunday, so I was pretty worn out.
Yeah, I bet you were ready for. You stayed up for the Super Bowl after all that. I would tell you right now, I found out the score when I woke up the following morning.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't really, wasn't really into the game, but my son was. I mean, he really enjoys watching football, so I sat and watched it with him, and honestly, I was still a little bit. Just jacked up from the match on Sunday, so it's not like I could go to bed very quickly anyway. My body was tired, but my mind was still running, so it was good.
Yeah, Coach, to say it was good is the understatement of the day, right? What a phenomenal outcome. Again, 2 powerhouse schools in Division I wrestling, championships at SoCon level for untold years, probably. I don't know when the last time somebody else besides App State or Campbell won it, probably Chattanooga, and I don't recall when that was the last time. But obviously, we go into this one, Coach, the team, the staff, fans, everybody else is very well aware of. I think there's still some wrestling that's got to be done, but legitimately, the winner of this one is in the driver's seat for the SoCon Championship.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, winning on Sunday put us in sole possession of first place in the Southern Conference, but we still got 2 dual meets left, and so we still have a lot to focus on. We've got a Davidson match on the road on Friday night at Davidson, and it's really important for us that we have the same intensity and the same focus that we do each and every time we compete, because we still got a lot left to wrestle for. These matches are going to be very important for obviously trying to secure that conference championship as a team, but not only that, trying to make sure that our guys set themselves up in a spot to get the best seed possible for the conference tournament. And so we go to Davidson Friday night, turn around again, and then go to Presbyterian on Sunday. So pretty event-packed weekend as well, and a lot left to still wrestle for.
Yeah, let's break down this duel, Coach, because I think it's worth discussing in those details. First of all, Coach, if I'm not mistaken, does the home team have the say on what order the weight classes will wrestle in?
No, typically, Jeremy, if the two head coaches agree, they can just mutually agree on a weight to start in. And, we've just really been starting at 25, probably every dual meet in my memory for the last 2 years. That's just kind of the way it is. We just, we'll go to weigh-ins and ask the team, like, hey, do you want to start at 25? And they're like, yes. But I think Campbell had some strategy. They were wanting to flip for the weight class. So what happens is right before or right after weigh-ins, after all the guys weigh in, if two coaches can't mutually agree on a starting weight, then you flip a coin, and the winning team gets to choose the starting weight class. And so we did that after the weigh-ins on Sunday, and Campbell won the coin toss and chose to start at 133.
Wow, what an interesting strategy, and I'll never be able to even know what his strategy was to start there. But an interesting strategy to say the least, especially the way things played out at the end of it. So we started out 133. Cody Russell obviously steps up, defeats Dominic, and that was, to I guess to Campbell's point, that wasn't an easy victory for Cody. I think it took it down to the last period, if I'm not mistaken, in that individual to get that victory.
Yeah, I think we ended up winning by 4 in that weight class. I think Cody got a real slow start, maybe gave up the first takedown, but he kind of got his momentum rolling and actually got some offense in the third period, and got a decently convincing win. But he actually started a little slow. That was a match that I thought we needed to try to get bonus points in that match. So I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit disappointed after that first match when we didn't get bonus points. I kind of felt like that was one of the ones that we might have the potential to get bonus points. So, I was a little disappointed in us starting a little bit slow, but happy at the way he finished the match and, making sure he got a convincing win and getting the momentum started in the right direction.
Yeah, right away, I will kind of echo your statement there right away when Cody didn't bonus that match. Felt like it was getting a little bit harder to breathe in there. And I think, everybody is obviously thankful for walking away with that victory with Cody, but as we'll see when we get later into this, bonus points matter in duels like this. So went to the 141. Man, what a tough match for Heath Gagne. I thought for sure that young man was going to walk away with that victory in that match.
Yeah, I mean, he wrestled, a hard match. I just, I think he might have been a little bit too conservative and just trying to, make sure that he didn't make any big mistakes. I felt we made a mistake of not getting our hands on that opponent enough. I think Heath's really good when he gets his hands on you and can move you out of position. And obviously his opponent from Campbell is really good from the open. So I was, really felt like we needed to kind of close that space, not give him so much space to work with, and get our hands on him and kind of wear on him a little bit, and maybe get to some of our offensive attacks. We also, I thought, would have an opportunity to maybe ride him. Ended up getting reversed in the second period. And so, he wrestled hard. He put a good energy and a good effort in that match, but obviously he's got to make some tweaks, if we're going to turn that result around next time.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to the conference tournament. John 149. Another one, Coach. We go into this match, and I'm thinking things are tied up 3-3. We're going to get some bonus points, possibly a pin out of this one. John, and I wouldn't be afraid to say this to John, and I don't think that he would not acknowledge it. He seems to be a little bit conservative on his shots. I hope everything's okay. I know we won't talk about anything like that, but man, Coach, I was surprised at, well, not bonus points, but I'm surprised he wasn't a little more aggressive than what he was against Josh Hale. That was a surprising outcome for me for sure, because I think the points that John got, if I'm not mistaken, was 3 escapes.
No, he got 2 escapes and a riding time point.
That's right. 2 escapes and a riding time point. So he didn't have any takedowns, any 2 points off of takedowns, which is very unusual for John, and didn't get any back points. But, Josh, in the John's defense, Josh is not a pushover, right? That kid from Campbell is a good wrestler. So good to walk away from that one, but I'm sure John would have liked to have had a little bit more offense coming out of that individual match.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that maybe he got to his offense as good as he needed to, but I will back up and say, Jeremy, and I don't even know if you knew this, but that's the first time in the history of the Southern Conference that you ever had 2 top 10 opponents wrestling each other in an individual matchup in a duel.
Yes, sir. I was promoting
the entire history.
Yeah, I was promoting that pretty heavily going into it. It lived up to what the hype was, right, Coach? Like, we knew this was going to be a battle with Hale over there with Campbell. I mean, they're both good. It seemed to wane on like literally anybody could have walked away with a win. All it took is one mistake from either wrestler, and the other, they were going to fall victim to the other. So a great competition. Good to see John coming out there. This might be was this John's highest ranked opponent so far this season, Coach?
I guess it depends on what polls you're looking at. I think actually in the last coaches rankings that just came out a little over a week ago, I'm pretty sure John was 8 and Howell was 4. So he was actually ranked ahead of John going out of the coaches rankings. Now, look, some other rankings have them, different.
Reverse.
John at 5, him at 8, whatever.
Yeah.
I know John wrestled the number 5 ranked kid from Arizona State, Parco. Now the kid's not ranked 5th, but at the time he was. When he wrestled Fine Silver, I think Fine Silver's ranked 9th. So, that's his 3rd match this year of a top 10 opponent, and he's come away victorious in 2 of the 3.
Yeah, John's got a special season lined up if he continues to stay hard, and obviously this getting ready to peak here soon with a few more weeks of competition in the SoCon, and then moving into the Nationals there in Detroit this year, Coach. Cody Bond. Coach, that kid never stops. Like, he poured it on. I take that back. I think he was down. I think the other kid got the first takedown, if I'm not mistaken, and Cody turned the switch. Ended up taking a major 14-5 over Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, Cody's wrestling really well right now. Went down with the first takedown, but typically I don't worry a lot when Cody gives up the first takedown, because he typically always gives up the first takedown. So, I wasn't really that concerned about that. I felt like he would battle back, and the harder the pace is, and the more flurries and exchanges there are, I think that favors Cody, because he's got a really, really good gas tank and really good cardio. And so, when you get late in the second and third period is when he's really going to pour it on you. And so I felt good about that match starting at a pretty furious pace. He's just really kind of jumping levels right now, and I think it's kind of interesting to see that he's still getting a little bit overlooked in some of the national rankings and things like that, because, man, Cody Bond's a good wrestler.
They have him ranked 32 from looking at the score here, Coach. I'd put Cody Bond against the top 20 any day of the week. I mean, that kid can wrestle. Mm-hmm. They're going to be surprised in March. Let's go surprise them, Cody. Show them what it is. Will Formato steps in at 165. Again, Will being Will, right? Looked like he got back to the way that Will Formato wrestles, and took this one pretty easily, 7-2 decision over the Campbell wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, that was another one. I thought that he wrestled a good smart match, but that was one. Going into this duel and knowing just how good both teams were, I felt like we were going to have to try to get bonus points in a couple of matches, and I felt like going into the match, I actually felt like 33 and 65 were our probably biggest opportunities to get bonus points. And so Cody Bond steps up, gets bonus points for us at 57, and that was kind of a match that, obviously I think he can get bonus points, but, I was thinking that just kind of looking at the opponents and their records and stuff like that, that maybe 33 and 65 might have been better opportunities. But, we didn't get bonus points at 33 or 65. But, in a rivalry match like this, sometimes it's hard to really kind of widen the gap on your opponents. I think Will won 7-2 or something like that. So it was a very, convincing win. Just wasn't able to secure the major decision.
Yeah. 174. Thomas Flitz. I would say if there was an emotional match outside of the final one at 125, the emotion from Thomas and really anybody that's a fan of App State wrestling that has followed Thomas over his career, Thomas Flitz getting the defeat over Austin Murphy at 174. Coach, that was an awesome victory to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really proud of Thomas. I thought he managed the match well, managed his emotions well, because obviously at that point in the match, you can tell this pressure's building. From the start of the duel at 133, by the time you get to 174, we're starting to kind of see how everything's falling out, and there's a lot of pressure on Thomas at that time, and I thought he did a good job of managing his emotions and controlling the match and getting the victory. And I think for him more than anything else, it was probably just exercising a little bit of some demons, like where he'd kind of had lost to that opponent several times in a row, and just kind of getting over that hump. I thought for him was a huge deal, and man, couldn't have been a better time to do it.
Yes, sir. Coach, at this point, what are we up? 15-3, right? Like as the average, was it 15-3? I think is what it was. 16-3. Yeah. Yeah, 16-3. Average fan, you're thinking, man, we're in the driver's seat, right? Mm. Completely changed the next three matches, and I think, I'll say it. I kind of figured that this point in the lineup was going to get really tough for App State wrestlers, only because this is where Campbell historically has fought and wrestled really well, especially this season with these guys. Mm. But I say that to say Barrett was in there. He had a chance to win it. Wyatt Miller was in there and went into overtime against Chris over there at 197. That I think Chris is, if I'm not mistaken, I think he qualified last season.
Returning conference champ at 97.
Yep. Took him into overtime, and then obviously the 285 took a major defeat there, major decision in the loss there with their heavyweight guy. Tough match there with Mike, but Barrett and Wyatt Miller both was in there to the end. Coach, just kind of flipped things upside down on us, right? Like it came down to the last match of the duel to determine where it was going to go. All those kids, Barrett fought. He was in it from the beginning. And I was surprised that he didn't pull it out, because as we continue to see, and you and I have talked about this more than once, Coach, a lot of these individual matches where App State really got the advantage was late in the match, right, in that third period. And that's, Barrett didn't look like that he wasn't fresh. He definitely looked like he was more fresh than the Hopkins guy, and so did Wyatt Miller. So I kind of felt that we were a little bit more comfortable in those matches, but just took some bad points in those closing.
Well,
periods.
you look at Barrett's match. And I hate to kind of, I don't know. I hate to have kind of a negative outlook on it, but Barrett Blakely wrestled his tail off, and in my opinion, should have won that match. I felt like there was some calls that really kind of, we gave up 2 technical points in 20 seconds. Like, I don't ever see that happen. And, I don't, the stall call I definitely thought was bogus, and, that changed the whole outcome of the match, and, gave a guy the opportunity to get back in it. We had a, comfortable lead and we're dominating the positions. And then you give 2 technical violations and 2 points and, a 20-second frame. And, that was the I think the deciding factor in the match. It really kind of put us in a bad position. And I don't know. I mean, I think Barrett wrestled hard, and I was proud of his effort, and I thought he did all the things he needed to do to win that match. I felt like that, some of those calls were a little suspect, but it is what it is. You gotta be able to take and win convincing enough to where nothing like that matters. But I couldn't have been disappointed in his effort. I thought he fought hard and wrestled well and gave himself a chance to win. And
Yeah.
I think his confidence is growing, and I think he feels like he can beat anybody in the conference. And I just thought it was unfortunate that he didn't come away with the win as good as he executed on Sunday.
Coach, I will say the stalling call was a little bit more than suspect. I mean, literally, our guys, for the first half of the duel, our guys was chasing Campbell wrestlers around the entire perimeter of the mat. I think Barrett had about 2 steps that he took backwards with his leg. I believe the guy had a single leg and had his leg in the air. So he was hopping, took 2 hops backwards, and he hit him with his second stall to take the point. So a little bit tough. Again, those 2 points and completely different outcome for Barrett in that match. Why, Coach, I can't say enough about throwing this kid to the fire. I mean, I think I probably said it to you the second time we talked about him being thrown in the lineup. It's either going to be the best thing that happened to him or the worst thing that's happened to him. And his results so far, he's going to be a handful, Coach. He already is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's growing and he's getting better every match. He's maturing. He's growing right before our eyes. And like you said, sometimes trial by fire is the best way to get yourself ready to go. And so I'm proud of him. I think he obviously goes into deep waters with the returning conference champ, and at one point in the overtime was actually behind him, with his hands locked. I thought we might get a lift there and get a takedown to get the victory.
Yeah.
Ended up losing the lock, and then gets taken down just a short time later. But couldn't be more proud of his effort, and he gave himself a chance to win. And like I said, I think as much as he's improving, I think he's going to be really hard to contend with in about 3 more weeks.
Yeah. He's going to be hard to contend with come Friday night, Coach, down in Davidson. I can promise you that. Yeah, Wyatt he's probably the surprise of the season for me so far. I know there's a lot of good performances, and we're going to talk to a gentleman that's had a great season so far. But really, if there's anybody that's come from, this guy wasn't even a starter to start it out, and already up there. Coach, is Wyatt a solid 197 yet?
No comment.
I didn't think so. He looks a little bit smaller than the rest of his opponents. That is for sure. So, Coach, let's Mike. We're not going to beat up on Mike too much, and that was a tough one for him. And I could tell he was frustrated out there. 125, Coach. It's ironic that Campbell would allow Caleb Smith to be the last wrestler for App State of the day to decide really the duel.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When they chose 133, I was a little bit dumbfounded. Like, I couldn't understand why they would choose that weight. The only thing I can imagine is that their 25's cutting a lot of weight, and they wanted to give him as much time as possible to recover after weigh-ins before wrestling. So I think that might have been their strategy, was thinking that they just needed to give him as much time as possible, and being the last match would give him the maximum rest time and recovery time after weigh-ins. But I'll be honest with you, like, when I found out that, okay, well, this match, if it goes to the last match, Caleb's going to be the guy that's going to be anchoring our lineup, I couldn't have had more confidence, because, there's nobody that works like Caleb, not just in recent memory, but for the last 3 years, the amount of extra time he puts in and the way he trains and conditions and gets extra workout and studies the sport, and, the way he lives his life, like, and it was just impossible for me not to have confidence that he was going to get it done. Like, I had every belief that we were, as soon as I knew it came down to him, when we went in that last match tied, I'm like, okay, or up by 3, I'm like, we're going to win this duel. I just felt like Caleb, was going to get it done. And,
yeah.
I had a lot of confidence in him. I'm sure he'll tell you he had a lot of confidence in himself, but, more than anything else, like, I had confidence in the work he'd put in, and so it was easy for me to, feel good about it. And, when I knew that he was anchoring the lineup, I was pretty confident.
Yeah, I will tell you, I asked that question in the beginning because I thought for sure this is how Coach JohnMark wants it. Like, if it's going to be close, he wants Caleb to be the last guy for App State to step on the mat. And we've talked about Caleb even before Caleb got a starting spot, about the improvements that he was making in the wrestling room. So I'll be, again, I asked it because I thought for sure JohnMark had his hand into this, because it's the only way this would have happened. Coach, down 3 points, obviously a win by them would have tied it up. I don't recall what that points was, but the article here on your site said the team scores were 47-42 at the heavyweight. So it would have been a very interesting outcome at that point. Could have been very close either way if they would have tied it up. Obviously, went the distance. Caleb went the distance. And, I'm going to ask him in a minute, and I'll ask you. I think it came down to, obviously, Caleb's a very skilled wrestler, but so is the Campbell wrestler. Like, there's a reason the coach had that much confidence in that 125 kid to wrestle last as well. Caleb was still going in overtime in the Southern victory, and the Campbell guy was ready to go home. I mean, that's, to me, looking from the outside in, he was just ready to go home. Caleb had wore him out the entire match. He was just ready to call it quits.
Well, I think, Caleb, he was really aggressive in the match. I think he got in on the wrestler's leg 3 or 4 times. And, honestly, that's where we got to spend a little bit of time this next couple of weeks, is cleaning up our finishes. So when he gets the leg, he has a higher finish ratio, because, honestly, getting to the leg 3 or 4 times in regulation and not getting a takedown, it's just not, it's not going to get it done at the national tournament. So Caleb knows that. We've talked about it, but even though he didn't finish those takedowns, making the Campbell wrestler wrestle through those, hard exchanges, I think really did wear him down. And I think by the time we got to overtime, that's when Caleb definitely had an advantage, because he'd put him through all of the scenarios. But, you got to look at it like this too. I think Campbell, they probably had confidence in their guy. He's a returning 2-time conference champion. So it's not like this is just some new guy in their lineup. He's I think a 5th-year senior, 2-time returning conference champion. And, I don't know that they probably don't know what I know about Caleb. So, I think that they thought that was going to be they were going to be favored, and I think, we felt different.
What a duel, Coach. I know it felt good to walk away from that one. I know there's still a lot of work left to do in the SoCon. Davidson is wrestling, I think, probably as good as I've ever seen them. They've put up some points on some people, so Friday is not going to be a walk in the park either way. It's going to be another test. I think probably, well, I will say it. You had Chattanooga, you had Campbell, and you had Davidson, probably the other 3 toughest opponents in the conference right now. Those guys are going to wrestle tough, so it's going to be a test. Coach, it was great to see you guys walk away with that victory on Sunday, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our guys are wrestling well, and I think we're improving right now in a lot of weight classes, and so we got to just make sure that improvement continues over the next 3 or 4 weeks going into the postseason.
Yes, sir. Coach, I would tell you the best thing to come out of Sunday, I think I've probably seen 4 to 5, maybe a half dozen messages floating around the social medias from people that was their first time in varsity gym, and every single one of them said they're hooked and will be back.
Yeah, absolutely. When you come to a match like that in varsity gym where it's packed and standing room only, and the fan base is passionate and it's loud and it's rowdy, and it's addictive, and it's an atmosphere that you can't explain to someone until they're in varsity gym. And so I'm sure we made a lot of new fans on Sunday. Yeah,
without a doubt. You had a good message going into the week before with that press conference you did over at Athletics. I think that was definitely a big calling, and people showed up. It was good to see some new faces in varsity gym, Coach. Coach, appreciate your time tonight. Look forward to catching up with you after the Davidson. Any parting shots here before we let you go tonight?
No, it's just about consistency right now. That's what the message has been. We actually trained on Monday morning at 6:30. After Sunday, I got my guys back up 6:30 on Monday morning. We were in convo running, and that was the message on Monday morning. I said, guys, we got to be consistent. Like there is no, no event circled in February where we're just going to kind of like rest and kind of celebrate and take a lot of time to like I was happy with our effort, but there's mistakes that we made. We got to get better, and we got to get right back to work because all of our goals that we set at the beginning of the year are all focused in March.
Yes,
So
sir.
I got right back to work.
Yes, sir. What do we know? We need to know about this guest we got coming up, Coach. Obviously, we've talked about him for a couple of years before he got in the starting lineup, but now that he's in it, Coach, what do we need to know about Caleb Smith?
Oh man, he is a competitor. He's got a work ethic that's just like it's just unbelievable. I mean, I'll be honest, I've coached a lot of guys that have had extreme work ethics, and I would put Caleb right up there at the top of that list, including All Americans, 3 and 4-time conference champions. I mean, I've had some pretty special guys, and I can already tell you his work ethic's special. He likes to he likes to challenge himself, and he's a competitor, and he'll get a little bit chippy with you in practice, whether you're a coach or a teammate. He'll get a little chippy. I mean, it's funny. We give him a hard time, but yeah, he's great, man. He's the kind I wished I had a ton of guys to coach just like him.
It's not surprising that he's homegrown either.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you. Let's go talk to Caleb. We'll catch up with you after the Davidson duel, Coach.
All right, good night.
The man of the hour, the man of the weekend, Caleb Smith. Appreciate you joining us tonight there, young man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's your name. This is not the first time your name has ever been mentioned on any of our episodes. I can tell you that. As I told Coach, it feels like from day one, Caleb Smith was always a part of some conversations of some sort. Obviously, well, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but tell us a little bit about how you got started. When was your first year of wrestling?
It started in 7th grade, and it started with football because I had a friend on the team. I was undersized, I was weighing like maybe 100 pounds, soaking wet, and he saw me working hard, and he was like, "Hey, you should try out for wrestling. Like you work hard, you got good conditioning. I think it'd be good for you." And I thought it was WWE, so I had no clue. I thought I was gonna be hitting people with chairs. Like I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know. And I wasn't really sure until his other friend came along and was like, "I'll be your manager for football if you wrestle." And that he made it happen. And since then, it's just I don't know. It's been like a dream come true.
Nice. And you went to High Point High School.
I went to Southwest Guilford.
High Point, North Carolina is your hometown. Southwest Guilford, that's right. Redshirt sophomore is your year that you're in now. Still have a lot of time to do some great things here in Boone. Tell us about your recruiting, getting up here to App to wrestle for App State.
Coach Bentley, I remember my freshman year, he saw me and he couldn't say anything, but I heard that he like said something to my coach. He said he's like that kid's gonna be good. And I was like that really motivated me. That's the first thing that any college coach has ever said about me. Then whenever I was eligible to be talked to, Coach Bentley calls me. I've been coming to their camps since 8th grade, so I've been around the guys and I saw how close they were, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And then whenever I went to nationals my senior year, I ended up placing 3rd, and that just sealed the deal. Like I knew since Coach Bentley had me since day one, I was like, I'm going to be here because it's family.
Nice. Was there any other programs that were interested in you?
Yeah, there were a few. There was some like in our conference. There was about I don't really want to name them, but there were probably 3 in our conference. There was Kent State. I think they're in the MAC. I'm not really sure. And then just some other like D2 schools or D3, but That was never my goal. My goal was D1.
So it was without question you were coming to Boone.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. So tell us a little bit. Let's talk. Let's go back to Sunday. Obviously, you've had a tremendous season last season. Did very well, if I recall. You wrestled at was it 133?
I did 25 and then 33
25
towards the end.
Yeah, that was it. And obviously starting out this season right back to where you're at, right? Like coach has talked about you from a while. I think since the beginning of, for us 3 years ago, he talked about your work ethic there in the wrestling room. Talk about, let's skip through everything that we've gone through so far this season, because we'll get you back on another episode at the end of this season and kind of talk through the season. Let's talk about Sunday. When you found out that you were going to be the anchor for that duel on Sunday, what was the first thing that came across your mind?
First thing was I had literally been praying for a moment like that for a couple of weeks, and I wanted the pressure to be on me, and I wanted to be able to have all the teammates in the match, because I'm the first match, so I don't always get my teammates full attention, and I don't want them to pay attention because I want them to be focused on what they have to do. But I was praying for that moment, something like that, where the pressure's on. And when I got the chance, I was like, this is exactly what I asked for. So I know I'm prepared. And then Coach Bentley, he calls me Showtime, and a couple guys call me Hollywood. So I knew like the pressure's on, or there's a big moment, I'm going to be the guy to make it happen.
It's almost like the Campbell coach played right into our hand, right? Like we couldn't have asked. I mean, you personally, I think I heard you talking about in the post duel press that you did with athletics there. If I'm not mistaken, you're kind of accustomed to being that anchor coming out of high school.
Yeah, so in high school, my coach, he would do the same thing. I was either first or last. There's no in between. He's like, most of the time you're probably going to start off the duel, but sometimes you might have to be ready to end it. And so Coach Chambers, he did a good job preparing me, and that also gave me confidence knowing I've already been there before.
Yeah. So take us through the start of that match for you on Sunday. Had you wrestled the Campbell wrestler before?
No, I have not.
So first time against the opponent, he obviously his coach had enough confidence in him to request that the 125 weight class was last. It was tough through it, right? You took a lot of shots. He didn't take many shots. You were pretty active in offense. He was, I won't say stalling the majority of the match, but he was backing up quite a bit and not taking near as many shots. Kind of where were you at in that process? And I know you were frustrated because, as Coach said, you were in pretty deep on a lot of those shots, and just couldn't come away with the takedowns.
I just kept telling myself, no matter what, don't panic, stay calm, and just focus on the next points, the next opportunity. Going in, I kind of knew that I was probably going to be doing most of the offense. In my head, that's kind of how it played out. I thought I would score more than I did. My finishes weren't as clean as I'd like, but I knew I was like, I had played it out and visualized what was going to happen, and I knew there was going to be scrambles, but I knew I was prepared just because of our room. We got guys like Tyler Kellison, like the scramble, Kobe Early. We just got a lot of depth, but going in, I knew I just had to keep a hard pace and try to break them mentally.
Yeah, breaking mentally and physically, right? There's one thing, and I think probably everybody in your wrestling room, and I know everybody that comes from the program, there's one thing that everybody out of App State Wrestling has over their opponents, and that's endurance. Like, you're never going to – matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen an App State wrestler not the first one back to the center of the mat. Like, and that's where you were the entire time. As a matter of fact, you took him to the center of the mat when you came out during your introduction to shake his hand. So it was just telling, and I had a feeling when I seen you do that, I'm like, that's not going to be the first time that Caleb beats him back to the center of the mat. As I said, obviously, I think you're much more skilled than he is. You took a lot more offensive shots. But just even being the average spectator and fan of wrestling that I am, you still had it in the gas tank, and he was absolutely busted. had nothing left in that Southern victory. And really, it got into a little bit of a scramble situation there towards the end, but he just didn't have the ability to move out of the way, and you got the takedown on him. So just talk a little bit about the training that you guys go through and how that is a difference maker for what you guys are doing here in Boone.
Coach Bentley and all the coaches, really, they always preach consistency and hard work, and then also trusting in your training. So I knew, like, in practice, there's nobody that practices as hard as us. There's some stuff that we do, and I just, like, in practice, I'm like, I can't wait for this to be over. But I got to do it like I love it because I get moments like that.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's going to pay off eventually, even if it sucks right then, but I'd rather it suck in the room than out on the mat where it really counts. And also his body language, like you said, beating people to the center, that's mental points. And that's something we preach on a lot. Like, it makes a difference. And so when we went into overtime, the first thing I did was make sure that I was at the line. And then I was looking at him for a second, and I saw him, like, bent over. His hands was on his knees. I don't know where he was looking. I thought he was looking down. I was too focused, but maybe he was looking at his coaches. And I knew right there, I was like, his posture is too bad to beat me. He doesn't train like me. He's not disciplined like me. So I knew, like, I'm going to get this done just because everything we do is so hard and we do it right.
Yeah, what a special moment. I knew as soon as you were getting into the scramble and knew where he was at physically that, hey, we've got a very good chance of walking away with 2 points here. Tell us about that experience to take those 2 points takedown, to secure the victory, to secure the duel finally over Campbell again in varsity gym. What was that like for you?
It was a surreal moment. Like, I tell my friends this, and I said it in the interview, it felt like a movie. Like, that's the type of stuff you see in movies where the crowd just goes crazy, or you go into overtime, whatever, last point scores, wins, and it gets so loud. Like, I could feel the energy rise as soon as they said we're going to overtime. I heard everybody get even louder, and I was like, wow, like, this is awesome. And so I live for moments like that. Like, I want the pressure to be on me. And whenever I got that takedown, it felt like me just doing my job, really. I felt like, I probably should have won by more, but I did what I needed to for the team and for myself. And that was the biggest thing. I didn't want to let the guys down and the fans, my family, just everybody that got me there. I didn't want to let them down, so that's what I was thinking.
So you've been through this. You're almost through another season of SoCon wrestling as a starter in the lineup. What would you say to true freshman Caleb Smith that was walking in the door tomorrow in that wrestling room for the very first time? What would you say to him?
That's a good one. I think I just tell him, have faith, be patient, and don't stop what you're doing. Because I feel like those are the main things that got me where I'm at. It's my faith and constant hard work and believing in myself. That's another thing. Coming in, I probably didn't have as good confidence skills or mental training, but now I feel like I'm on top of it and I know how good I am. So the biggest thing, probably know your worth and keep your faith and your hard work going.
Yeah, great answer. What's it like to wrestle in varsity gym with that crowd?
It's awesome. Like, I can't even really describe it. I need to find a word. I need to look up one of those big words in the dictionary or something to find a word, because I can't really put it into words. It's like Christmas. That's how I would put it. If I was a little kid, it's like Christmas, and every day that's match day is Christmas. Like, you don't get to open up presents, but you get to put some butt whoopings out there and have people supporting you while doing it. So it's awesome.
And we keep the referees in check for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's something I don't have to worry about. And in my matches, in my head, like, I'll be laughing at it. I'm like I hear people say some stuff, and I won't think about it until I'm sitting down 30 minutes later. I'm like, did I actually hear that?
Yeah, it was pretty lively. The conversations with the ref on Sunday were pretty lively. just to give the fans a little bit of perspective of that, there was some Campbell wrestlers that really weren't very active when they were on the bottom. And they stayed to the outside of the mat quite often against a lot of our individuals. So go check it out sometime if you're hopefully we get Citadel back up here. I'm not sure if we will or not. I should have asked Coach that. But if not, next season, definitely check it out. Caleb, man, it's been great to finally talk to you. You're one of those guys that I kept wanting to ask Coach, let's bring on Caleb. Let's bring on Caleb. But I knew there'd be a moment like this that was just perfect for it. Like a moment like this Campbell win on Sunday that was just going to be the moment that we wanted to get you on, and it couldn't have played out any better, young man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And I tell you what, give your mom and dad a hug, because I don't know how they stay composed sitting there in those chairs. I sat right next to them on Sunday. I don't know how they sat down. There's no way I couldn't sit down. I was standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. Obviously, mom and dad has been through that a time or two.
Yeah. It's just part of being a Smith.
Yeah, part of being a Smith. It's not going to be the first time that they make you stand up and down all day long while out there wrestling. Caleb, that's great, man. Appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you taking the time. Good luck Friday. As you guys know, Davidson is not a pushover like they have been in the past. That's going to be a tough duel down there. And Davidson coming off a big duel on Sunday. So good luck down there. Go beat them up. Show them how the Mountaineers do it. Bring back another victory to Boone.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Man, listen, guys, if you checked out the stream right before I came on with these guys, you heard a lot. But what I'm going to tell you is young men like Caleb right there and sharing his story, and we're going to talk to him more during the off season, is exactly why I do this. That's it. The duels are great. I mean, we have fun doing the duels. I know that Terrell and Saba really enjoy commentating, and I can tell you the App State wrestling fans love to hear them because they have so much information and knowledge about the program. But this is why I do it. The conversation we just had with Caleb, that's why I do it. That's why I'll continue to do it, and that's why we will continue to be very biased to App State wrestlers. Not many opportunities for the young men in our wrestling program to get in front of people and tell their stories, but I think it's very important that people hear them and understand where they're come from and their life to get to this point. This young man didn't start wrestling until his 7th grade, right? I can promise you, keep an eye on Caleb Smith. I don't have a magic ball or anything like that. But he's going to be something special, and I'm not going to say it right now because I'm not going to jinx him. But he'll be one of the very few Mountaineers to ever attain some levels that I feel he will be able to get to. So keep an eye out for him. He's got a tremendous story coming up. It's still yet to be written. He's got a few years left to be a Mountaineer up here wrestling for App State. Appreciate you tuning in, and I do want to say much gratitude to our Rockfin subscribers. I said a little bit ago before we came on here, this year has been extremely tough for us. Last year, my son and I did the stream. We had to hire some help this year to do it. It has been extremely expensive, and it would not even be close to being possible without our Rockfin subscribers and supporters and those that are supporting us through the Patreon channel there. So appreciate everybody's support. It's been great. Looking forward to finishing out the season strong, and my fingers are crossed. I am going to try to get up to Detroit to cover the fellows that we send up there to the Nationals. So not in stone yet, but I'm trying very hard to make that trip up there to be able to chat with them and get some things out for you guys then. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great night, and as always, go Apps.
This has been a production by Yosef Media.